Welcome to the Campfire Passport Podcast. It's really weird because I'm staring Colin in the face in real time. This is our new studio area that's been in the works for a while. We recorded a podcast last week, and we used the space for the first time. And we brought in our friend Harrison, which was a really nice guest to have on the podcast. I don't know what the final number is, but it's long.
It's a bit long.
Yeah, it's a bit long because we just went way off the rails very quick and never got back on. So, anyways, also it's in 720p, and I think this is higher resolution because we switched our camera setup. So yeah, it should be good, I hope. If there's anything weird, you should probably let us know in the comments, I think. I don't know whether to look at the camera or you. I've just realized
it's just a conversation, Sean.
It's just a conversation.
We got to look at each other and talk.
All right, Chase. Okay, well that's it. Otherwise, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You got anything else, Colin?
No, that covers it. Yeah, you really hit all the bases on that one. So let's get into it.
All right.
Do we have a topic?
No.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we have a topic.
Well,
The reason we brought you here today...
is this an intervention?
You're the second worst offender.
Yeah, you're the second worst car flipper that we know.
Oh, I don't...
Not saying you're bad at it, just that it's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm still ahead, I've done the math. If I'm still ahead ever so slightly, is it a problem?
This is
part of investment.
This is part of what we're going to talk about, because I don't know if the measurable success of flipping cars is if you're always ahead. It might be. It's a conversation.
What else would it be?
Having fun.
Which also you're doing if you're ahead.
True. Well, that is true. But I do know people that are losing and still having a good time. Mostly because they have backing of family and shit. We're not talking about him.
Oh my God.
If you've got a trust fund, sure,
yes,
you lose money on flipping cars.
If you've been gifted a family business and you're living rent-free in a family house, and the person you always sell the hard cars to sell to your father. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like you know somebody.
Oh, man.
I think we got to skip right off of that topic. Right off of it. Anyways, I think we brought Harrison in. Harrison is our friend and our local legend of flipping cars, who is only first place to the second of Mike, who flips cars quickly as well.
I don't know. I think we might have similar numbers.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Where you want to start?
We'll get there. We don't need to. Let's not get to the start of this.
Okay.
What's that? Okay.
It's okay.
Well, don't give first and second out until you know the metrics.
I already did. It's done. The metrics. Remember, I told you the metrics are up for debate. So, that's what we got to figure out. It's
going to be a come from behind victory.
Could be, or the results are already.
He does like to come from behind.
The best place.
Oh my God.
Well,
are you done?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're just getting started.
This is Mike in person.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Is it better?
Not by himself in his garage.
I was going to say, I did like the multicolored rock lights in the background last time. That was pretty good choice.
I haven't hooked those back up yet.
Yeah.
That's a Jeep guy thing.
Yeah.
I understand.
Rubber duckies on the dash. Yeah.
No. He draw the line.
He said
draw
the line, but
he's got a baggie of them under the seat.
I have a 4-year-old. I have no reason to keep rubber duckies in my Jeep. People give them to me, they go in the bathtub where they belong with a child.
Yeah.
Whoever's giving them out to other adults is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
There's a lot of them.
I know.
There's a lot of them.
That's the fun thing about my mom having an FJ is that whenever I happen to be in it, I love to just troll. Park with the Jeeps. Park with the Broncos.
Right.
We were over in Florence over summertime, and there was this week-long Bronco celebration. It was fucking but to go to Safeway and spend a couple bucks on pen and paper and make your own logos and just follow them around town was amazing. The best thing. And what was great is my kids, since they're 5 and 10, they have no fucking idea Dad's being a dick. They're just excited to be in a parade.
Yeah.
And like, man, everybody wants to race you. This is sick. I'm like, they don't know. They're trying to run away. But yeah, no. So that was a great time.
You didn't finish the sentence though. It's an FJ Cruiser, isn't it?
It is an FJ Cruiser. And it is the
It's not an FJ. It's an
The
FJ.
values of them are coming down. The prices on those are coming down. Like, there's a bunch of articles I saw about, like, is now the time to buy one?
Well, not anymore.
Like, not if you want to have you have to buy 3 wipers?
Yeah.
It seems dumb.
Yep.
If you want a Forerunner that is weirdly shaped and has less space
And harder to get into.
Well, and way less visibility, too.
Yeah.
Which is funny that a
Harder to get
70-year-old, my mom, wants that.
well,
This is
my mom
everything
wanted
you've
one
ever-
when they were new too.
Yeah,
so
it's hard to get into. You can't see shit. Yeah, no, it's amazing. But yeah, and she's got the worst color. So they had to give
Yellow?
it a cool name. No, I'd be fucking fine if it was solar yellow or the blue or white or if it was any other color except for, oh my god,
It's terrible
black
orange.
cherry.
Ooh.
Which is just ugly fucking burgundy.
Oh, it's the burgundy.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Is it purple? Is it red? It's...
If it's like, if it's
Not
yellow,
it's
if
not hot
orange,
pink. I know that much.
It's kind of a
bright
boring
blue.
burgundy, like the new Luke's Jeep. That's at least it's got like some
There's some
flake.
depth.
There's some depth to it, but yeah, the
But
FJ those were all flat colors. Like
But making it burgundy is
not
like
like flat, but they're gloss, obviously.
Yeah,
But
well,
they
it's
didn't have like
flake.
anything there. It's
Hers
just
is very similar to his Jeep, so he also has the ugliest color in a vehicle too. Yeah, but he also couldn't tell the difference, as you were saying before, between orange and yellow.
That was me.
Oh, don't touch the table. Sorry.
Don't touch the table.
But a burgundy FJ is like putting Hulk Hogan in a suit. You're like, what? Why? This is supposed to be a little bit weird.
Yeah,
And it's supposed to be a little bit wild. And you just were like, you know what? I'm going to tone this down just a touch. You're like, that's wrong. And that's wrong.
no, it's not good. It's not good. And it's funny that like brown is better.
Right? Yeah.
They've got that like the sand color.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
a
desert tan.
Did they call it sand then?
I think it might have been the original sand.
Yeah, just Dune, I think.
I don't know.
It's the you remember like way back in 2017, right? We all remember
way
that year.
back
Yeah.
in
Whoa.
Yeah, when everybody in town
Relax.
had a Dune or cement Tacoma.
Oh,
It's the same color.
Sand?
It's sand.
Dune?
Yeah.
I think it's called Dune.
It's a snow
Honest-
sand.
I had one in 2016.
Yeah.
Yep, I had one of the first ones. And
Yeah,
they're
Jamie looked that up.
Isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I felt like it was the one that was available,
Good.
and I felt very dumb after everybody else bought them, and I was like, oh, I didn't think this was going to be the popular
I think-
color.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was.
popular or not, I think it's a good color.
Steve, and Mo.
Yeah, I know. Well, I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was a bad color. I realized that I was the guy that bought the thing that everybody liked, and it makes me basic.
So
We're all wrong.
As a JK guy.
There's 2 colors: sandstorm and
Oh, I mean, come on.
quicksand. And quicksand, I think, is the Tacoma color. I'm not going to look that up.
Sand.
so I grew up
Sand.
in an
just
85
close.
Land Cruiser FJ60 that was that color. So I liked it because holy shit, like this is what it should be. This is, a very good classic color.
Yeah.
But I remember one time, like in one of those shitty moods, going up to Bachelor and counting. I was like, just for fun, I just want to see. And start off just like sending texts to like a couple buddies that were into it. And it turned into like, holy shit, dude, we're over 9. Like this is
That's
getting
a lot.
old. Nobody cares anymore. Like it's amazing how many were around before.
I was doing pre-blasting evaluations on houses this morning, all day, over on the west side. And for fun, I counted the number of Sprinter and or like vans that were in that neighborhood. And there were 50 houses in the neighborhood.
Count the amount of houses?
Well, I'm doing blasting inspection for them.
Oh, so you
I have the data.
Got it.
That's data.
He's got a spreadsheet.
That's data.
Yeah, that's commitment.
known data.
There were 25 vans when I stopped counting because I had to like keep working. There were 25 vans in one little like neighborhood. That's almost half.
But they paid more than some.
Well, that's half of
for
50.
houses.
Well, yeah. So 50. Yeah, it's half. There's more than half, or the same as half. Exactly.
No, it's nuts, especially when we were going to Miller. My daughter was going to Miller for a while. There was 5
Like or
totally done up Sprinter vans driven by some scared housewife, right? Because the douchebag husband, sure, he's got the good job, but he wants to take the 911 into town, right, to the office.
Well,
if we're going to have a minivan, we're going to have like fucking minivan, right? And so she's trying to get through the drive-thru line without mowing people over. And it's stupid. They're like built like a classic value menu, right? Like, oh, you got your Sprinter? Which package do you want? Oh, you want the bars and the little ladder, all the shit? Incredible. Everybody's got.
That is a crazy thing that just happened. That little ladder.
Witty bitty ladder.
I can't even say it.
It's a W.
Yeah.
Widow
Can't do
ladder.
it.
Little bitty ladder. You got your little
I
bitty
saw
ladder.
that. Like I saw the reel, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny," and I moved on, and then it just kept coming.
There's
I
a
was
beer.
Like, oh
Yeah.
my god! Well, that was the first way I saw it, which I'm sure was secondary to
Yeah,
the
that was
comment.
way after.
But I was like, "Oh my god, this is insane!" Quick thing: the guy with the 911 works from home. He's not driving anywhere.
True.
There's no chance. Like
Well, no,
he's not going.
'Cause
There is no
'cause I
office for
saw
him to go to.
yesterday morning.
He's going to the mountain.
Having breakfast by himself inside McKay Cottage,
Right.
like a fucking psychopath, right? Like who takes himself to like that guy does, right? Like
You're
he
not
probably
cook at home if you got a 911.
well, he probably still has like a nice little cushy office space because he wants to feel like he's doing.
You're talking about dentists. You're specifically talking about dentists.
probably am.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Well, they don't show up to the office either. You can talk to Kate about that.
Okay, before we get too far off in the weeds,
Which weeds? Yeah.
let's get on to our thing. I want to talk about the art of buying and selling vehicles. I said rigs when Colin and I were talking about this, but I mean vehicles in general. And there's some specific things I want to talk about, and Harrison is the perfect person to talk to about it.
Yeah.
Talk to about it. And Mike is like his sidekick, I think. Like I think he's right there. He's gonna provide a nice color on this. Please don't spill any of my things.
To be fair, Mike, I think the big dividing thing between us, and maybe this is what comes off to everybody else, is desperation, right? Okay? So I don't feel like you've ever had to do this in a way that's like, I am just absolutely hammered if things don't happen for me. So you've started off as like a hobby, whereas I started off in college as, okay, well, either I pay rent or I have my car.
Right.
And it turned into like, oh, I'm pretty good at like picking fun stuff, doing the right things to it, and then making a friendship that involves me getting money.
Right. That's
Right.
fair.
So yeah. So I think that's easy.
Well, and we take them at a different way, too. Because, like, I'd much prefer to buy something that is significantly broken and very cheap, fix it, and sell it for pretty cheap. Because that's, to me, fun. Like, and that's a weird thing, but
It's a nice hobby.
yeah.
I think more than anything, I want to hear. You told us a little bit about this before we started talking on mic, but I want to hear how you started doing it, and then on this mic,
Yeah.
Well,
Did you get the joke?
on the microphone.
Wow.
Uh,
I'm just having a good time, guys. I'm glad you invited me. You want me to leave? I've tried a couple times.
you almost didn't show up, and now I'm thinking I shouldn't have responded to that text. But here we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, you're right, and I take a totally different approach than you because I'm like, I don't want the thing that's already in pieces, right? Like, I want something that's like, this is still usable, but like somebody's either like burnt out or doesn't know enough. So it's nice to take something that like has the potential to cross the finish line, get it there with like a little more flair than just like, sometimes you get lucky and you can just wash something and it's good enough. But most of the time it's like, I love doing suspension, do wheels. I don't know if you guys have ever seen my cars with like a roof rack ever, but like
A lot of stickers.
Have you ever?
A lot
Yeah.
of stickers.
I've
on
actually,
the
I don't know, I've kind of come
Some sort of like crossbar.
So
Like sponsorship?
So that's the thing. Is like I definitely like doing it that way more because I don't want to be stuck with this for too long. But it is again part of the formula is like if I really miss the mark on something, like am I going to be okay with it? Like is it like before I spend my money, maybe I'm totally uneducated. Like the first time I bought an Alto, I don't know shit about that. But if is $5,000 too much, am I going to be okay being stuck with it?
Right.
Hell yes. And inevitably, whenever I get something I'm super interested in, that's when it goes way easy. But it's the like ones I'm kind of phoning it in. Like I just need a truck for the weekend to go pick up trash with some friends.
Yeah.
Okay, that thing I don't give a shit. Like, do I care about a Ram 1500? No, it's gonna take me forever to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sorry. So going back around. So since you're gonna edit all this anyway, So
Sure.
No, this is one form. Yeah, this is one go.
We are going to edit.
This is a one take.
Yeah, the royal we.
So if we're starting like the beginning, let's just say like college, right? Like let's omit a high school for this.
Wait a minute.
Because
Did you flip cars in high school?
I did not.
Okay,
Because
never mind. Get rid of high school.
Yeah. But I did sell a car on Craigslist in high school because mom knew
Wait.
Craig from Craigslist.
So
What? Oh, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like
Wait
a
a minute.
family connection to Craigslist. There's a reason why it's in the blood.
Oh, gee.
No wonder it's so easy.
You and Craig go way back.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Dude, there was like 4 cars on Portland Craigslist when I put my mom's 87 Camry wagon up.
Damn. This
Yeah.
is in high school?
Yeah.
Huh.
I didn't even know it was a Pacific Northwest thing.
Yeah, no.
It
It was
she
a .org, wasn't
She
it?
met him at like a trade
It
show.
still is.
Something like-
Yeah, see? So there you go.
Okay.
Wait, what does that have to do with Portland?
That
Isn't
organization.
that Oregon?
No, it's organization.
Organization.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I think it
Works for Oregon, too.
Yeah.
It's also .org if you think about it.
Yeah.
Not .org.
I know.
.org. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, yeah. So, but no, so that's yeah, exactly.
That's a-
I'm in bed with Craigslist pretty early, but
I had a separate question, but that's awesome. My
God,
thought was, were you, so since you're a BMX guy, did you partake in the trading and flipping of bikes as a teenager?
oh yeah.
Okay.
You
So
had-
that's
like-
like the gateway, I think.
Yeah, it was almost like involuntary. Like you were in trouble if you didn't. Like there's something wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
also working in bike shops, so like I had like easy access to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
I think that laid the groundwork for where you're going to start your story,
Probably. Yeah, exactly. No.
which is being a dirtbag and poor and needing to
exactly.
flip a car to
Yeah.
stay alive, right?
But the thing was, like, I wanted, like, cars have always been, like the main focal point, like, since, like, my earliest memories, right? Like, I had a pedal go-kart that was made in Germany. So it's like, it's all I wanted. Handbrake on it, we go spinning, like, down the hill. But anyway, parents didn't know anything about cars, wouldn't teach me anything, like,
Really?
wouldn't even let me buy my first car with my own money. Picked out, and they were very smart, a long bed 1975 Hilux 2-wheel drive.
Oh boy. We're going to have this
Like,
conversation.
What generation Hilux was that?
The worst.
Buying out of Canada? How did you get a Hilux? Because
No, well, that's just what they called them in 1975.
We've
Well,
had this.
they're-
We had this conversation. I had to
It was the
defend
truck,
this. Yeah, I had to defend this to the
pickup. Yeah.
to here because it is a Toyota pickup.
So okay, so
But okay.
so I'm going to vindicate hopefully you and make everybody else feel bad about this. The paperwork, like the original factory manuals, did say Hilux.
No.
They did.
On the manuals, what did it
Let's
say on the
see the
title?
record.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
On the title, it said Toyota pickup.
It did, but
Because in the
I didn't
States,
know Mike was on my side with this. I am stoked.
I've had first gen. I had the blue 4-wheel was my first gen I got from
but that's
Graham.
the thing. The DMV's just going to like abbreviate anything anyway. They're not going to always put it in.
Toyota was selling them as the Toyota pickup.
It's true. They were
States.
up until '96. There was
Yeah,
no
in
name
the
for
States.
it.
Yeah. Now I will give you this. It was the Hilux everywhere else, and 100% that is right. But in the U.S.,
Where it counts.
Called Toyota pickups.
Sure.
anyways,
Who else has won the world?
that's the hill.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
That is the worst. That is the worst.
Especially in
That
this,
is.
these trying times.
Anyway,
Is it the economy?
so your Toyota pickup that you got was a great
like,
idea.
Yeah, like run this 4-speed thing, like wasn't allowed to leave town, all this kind of stuff. So when I leave McMinnville, go to Eugene for college, first thing I do is like dump the truck. I'm finally fucking free. I found just taillights of a 2-door 71 510 sitting off of like 25th right on the edge of campus. And this person had been like approached probably for years, but you know, at 18 you have no idea. You're just gonna knock on doors.
Sure.
So this person is fucking pissed I'm knocking on his door talking about his car again. But I'm a real nice guy. Right? And I'm not pushy.
Self-proclaimed, yeah.
Exactly. But I'm not
It's a
pushy.
skill.
I'm not
It's a
doing-
skill.
It is, yeah. Just being like, I'm a genuine wide-eyed kid going like, this is really cool. What are you doing? I'm not selling it. Oh, okay. If you want to, could I, whatever. Gives me a call 3 weeks later. If I can get it out of there. So at 2 a.m, because when you're 18 at college, you have no perception of time.
Right.
Me and a buddy are cutting this thing out of his freaking driveway for like $300. We pushed it up a hill
Oh my god.
to my like little like half dorm place, and we in the parking lot for the next few days got it to run. And that's probably like the deepest project I've done myself. Was getting an L16 to go, and it was so lackluster. That's probably why it ruined me for doing anything too deep. Is I'm like, well, that was a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money in the rain, and anyway.
Carby, 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and of course, in college at the time, working full-time, trying to go to school full-time, you're getting paid absolutely nothing. We're about to have economic collapse because by now it's like, 07. And I just was like, you know what? I love my car, but I also like having a roof over my head and I still need to go to school. Fuck it, I can do public transport. I like riding my bike.
Wait a minute. What happened to the Toyota in this mix? Did you sell it to get the 510? Or
no,
did you...
I left it at home.
Oh, so you still had it?
Wouldn't even make it to Eugene. Parents, I guess the heater core must have gone because my mom said she drove it one time and radiator fluid leaked on her foot.
Huh.
They took it to the scrapyard. Didn't even try to fucking fix it. I had to spend my money on the truck. I didn't want to put up with it for years. And while I'm at school, you have it scrapped?
Wow.
Holy shit. So I had to start from scratch with okay, whatever I can make with my shitty bike shop job making, $8 an hour.
Yep.
Beg some neighbor to let me have your broken Datsun. So that's pretty fun. But I didn't even get the benefit to sell that. So this was the 510 was literally the first car that I sold.
It's step one in your whole.
And so you sold that to just live, right? Like I need money, sell it. What was next? How'd you get to the next thing after that? Well,
so with the 510, it was more than just getting it running. I got again did wheels, suspension, made it all one color. I got real good at spray painting cars in parking garages. And it was fun. And it was nice to be I'm just going to throw it for crack money, which back then was $4,000.
Right.
Now we'd kill each other.
Wait a minute. Also,
$4,000 for 510 two-door.
It's a two-door. Okay, that was my question. Is it a coupe?
It was the one to have. The two guys in their 40s that showed up to buy it from this idiot kid in Eugene were thrilled. They're shaking. They're trying to hide it. And I'm figuring out for the first time I'm fucking up right now.
I could have gone.
And because he's like, so could you take? I'll just give you the money. They didn't know what to do, and I'm just like, okay.
Those are the best deals when you're just they're like, you know what, you know what you have into it, right? And they're like, you know what, it's worth what you're asking.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna give you the whole thing, and you're like, thank you. Yeah. That's how I priced it.
Yeah,
that was the point.
So as much as I like the art of the deal, which I think we should get to at some point here.
You a Trumper?
Oh, what is that a thing he says?
I think that's his book.
It is his book.
Oh.
Well, so they have to burn the podcast, guys.
Shut yourself out, please. John.
Anyway.
You love the book, huh?
Listen, I do sales for a living. That's a thing that people say.
Because
since the 70s when Donald Trump wrote his book.
Did he? I bet you didn't actually write it.
No, I'm sure he did.
I'm sure it's a ghost.
There's 0% chance.
Ghost writer. He put his name on it.
Yeah.
And then he lost money on it and acted like he made $1 million. Yeah.
There's 0%.
That's the art of the deal, right?
That's the art of the deal. Anyway, as much as I like the wheeling and dealing of things, that really doesn't have the same.
Yeah, you say
It
it.
doesn't have the same.
I'm not going to say it again because it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
As much as he likes the art of the deal.
Right. Yeah. And Mein Kampf. Yeah.
Wow. Too far.
They are synonymous.
Yeah.
Painters, I think. Yeah.
Right. I lost my train of thought. Moving on. So what came after the 510?
That was my darkest period. I went into Volkswagen.
Oh, geez, those are terrible.
It's a dark period.
Which is, I was talking to Ryan about it because I love his obsession with them and watching him love something and then days later fucking hate it.
Yeah,
and then a couple days later,
that's Volkswagen.
A true Volkswagen enthusiast hates every Volkswagen he's had, but can't help but continue.
So I had a gray Jetta Cura. It was a 92.
Okay.
And I loved it, but it let me down so much.
That's a terrible car.
But I loved the accessibility to parts because back in 07, there was nothing for a 510. You had Dime Quarterly. You had one shit-ass website, and there's a few old guys holding all the parts back east and sharing with nobody. So to get into a Mark II Volkswagen was awesome because then it's there's wheels everywhere, there's brakes, there's a suspension. So I went nuts on this thing, and I pushed it a lot. So that was probably the worst one. But again, I think back on it like fondly though, because that's probably what really like took cars from being like, the 510 was the car I'd always wanted, got the worst version of it, had a ball, but also the reality of like building them's not as easy as like it seems when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Because we all had that game where you just click the thing and you race 3 times and then you can buy suspension.
Yeah,
and
like
you click the
and
thing
I was so out of touch with it that I honestly thought that a 510 was like the zenith of rally cars. Like it always in my mind, for some reason, I thought like I'm gonna get a 510 and I'm gonna be able to like rip every gravel road.
Oh boy.
And it was like a very like stark reality to be like, this is just like a people mover. It takes a lot.
I mean, it's an economy car.
It is.
Yeah.
Which is every car that we like is like that.
Yeah. But again, it wasn't like, okay, I can just go down to like, at the time, like, Connects or O'Reilly's, get what I want. They're like, man, you've got 14 inches? Like, I thought Schwab's was the only place that sold wheels. Yeah. So they had nothing for me.
Yeah.
Like I found some used Krager SS wheels, which...
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Kragers.
But
I like them on a custom.
But they were 4-spokes, so they looked like, really tacky Libers, right? Or Liber, how you're supposed to say, but yeah. So no, I mean, it fit right, but no, that was the big stepping stone into like really like getting deep into car culture and realizing like, man, it's kind of fun to like save up a little bit, find the right project, build it just the right way, like not too much that it's going to be so off-putting to like everybody, but like, you know what, most people are just looking for something that's reliable, kind of unique, put a few of your little touches on it, but don't go totally nuts and like, hey, I'm going to build my own body kit.
You're not going to gas monkey garage it?
No, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to make a one-seater Testarossa or something.
Yeah. Anyways. The thing that we were talking about before we started recording was the difference between Mike and Harrison on this stuff. And I think that one of the biggest differences is you, Harrison, like to build a car, flip a car, build a car, flip a car. Yeah. Mike is a pie-in-the-sky guy. Mike gets a car, and he likes to say, I'm going to build this.
I don't think I've ever done that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Colin, can you back me up here?
I'm gonna have to back.
I'm gonna keep talking so you can't hear him. And no, I do that a lot. I really like the big idea builds and stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
So the thing I said before you showed up actually was, Harrison, don't take this the wrong way, but Mike is more passionate about cars than you are. You don't care as much, and that's why there's a difference.
Well, and what I always tend to end up doing is a little bit ahead of myself. I think through things, and then I get excited about them,
a little bit,
and then I love them, and then I think through them again, and I sell them. So, like with the Nissan, I bought it, and I was like, "This is pretty cool. I might put 33s on it and just take it out camping and stuff." I never did that. I just fixed it and I sold it. But I was smart because ahead of time I thought, it's going to snow soon. This is a cheap 4-wheel drive I can get. I can fix it. And then once I fix it, it'll be worth more as soon as it snows. And so like I tend to do something like that. I did that with the Cherokee. I bought it for real cheap. I overheated it 6 times on the way home. I pulled the head off, replaced the head, did a head gasket because it already had a blown head gasket. Put it all back together, and I was like, man, this is fun. I really like having a Cherokee. And then I thought, you know what would also be nice? Money. Money would also be nice right now. And, I already have another Jeep, or I already have another rig, and if I sell the Cherokee, I was able to finish the TJ, and that turned out. And so, like, I do it more.
You have gotten significantly better.
So much better.
I think the biggest difference that I notice is Mike will buy specific cars with the specific intent of flipping.
Yeah.
The cars that Mike continues to buy and then sell and then buy and then sell that are quote keepers.
Yeah.
Because there's always those ones. So he has a 2-lane road here on this.
I have multiple personalities.
He won't actually like do a ton to the keeper.
Yeah.
It'll sell to get to the next keeper that he doesn't do a ton to.
That's okay.
Except
instead of the flippers compared to the flippers.
You bought the JK because you couldn't resell it.
I know. That was a smart. That was again me ahead of me thinking. You know what? If I buy a total title JK, I can build it up and I can't sell it, it's not worth enough to make it make sense to get me into something that is equal.
I can't wait to pull this.
I know.
So
I will someday sell it.
Yeah,
and so the difference I see is that Harrison likes to buy enthusiast cars.
Yeah.
That he'll have fun in for a while, but knows that if he does XYZ, he can then sell for the next enthusiast car that he's interested in. Like he said, that I'm okay with keeping this if I needed to.
Right.
Which we know he won't need to.
So back myself up now because I took that laying down though, right? I just
let's have Sean coming after. Here's the problem.
Here's the thing: is that we are exactly the same.
Yes,
is the issue. Because this conversation has been had before to me, whereas you always say keep and then you have to give up. So I've just learned to accept that I can no longer use that word when I talk about cars.
I just don't give a shit.
Right. So I've acknowledged that, because I used to, especially Fig Garage days, I was like, dude, this E21 is the one. And I was like, no fucking way. And he would dog on me, and then I'd dog on him because he'd do exactly the same thing anyway. So no, it's not so much that I've always been this way. I've always been passionate about cars, but I've had to get wiser about it.
No.
Is what it is. Is it's like, you know what? I have a certain amount of fluid income. I do have a certain attention span. I'm acknowledging that now. So no, it's that, because if I was just purely doing this for profit, I'd look like every other pop lot, right? Like it would be like lots of Accords and Civics. They fucking sell. You've seen me with maybe a couple early CRVs a long time ago. But overall, I'm not doing X5s. I wouldn't fucking buy one of those. I know better, and I know that it's not going to treat me right anyway. But will I waste everything on a turbo 924 Porsche? Hell yes. In a heartbeat, I was up there for that thing, and it was just the biggest piece of shit.
Right.
I hated it. It was awful. But I was so happy just based on
I won that.
It's weird. It's got a Pasha interior and a turbo on it. And driving it home, the reality that I made a mistake set in, and I still had that thing for 4 or 5 months anyway, trying to make it better. And then when I did put it on Bring a Trailer, sure, I made money by accident.
Right.
And that was great. I didn't know it was live until 3 hours before it closed. A buddy had to tell me, is that your car on Bring a Trailer? And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, middle.
Spam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because the few days before, they were like, okay, cool, it's probably going to take a couple months to get it up. And then my boss at the time was, not very good at showing up to work and took lots of long vacations. This was Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving at the dealership. So it's pandemonium.
Right.
It's my first year, first few months really in that department. And a buddy's like, is that your car? It closes in 3.5 hours. So the whole week, I'm just getting beat to shit in the comments for replying to all these stupid nuances.
Reasonable
when was the last time you did a cut and buff? Is any of this kind of stuff.
What's the paint depth?
So I went from so I bought the car for $5,000. I went and had it. It was never tuned, so it ran like gas. So I took.
Wait a minute. It was turboed after the fact. It wasn't a 924 turbo, or
no, it was a turbo, but it had an aftermarket turbo with a different intercooler setup. It had a bunch of weird stuff.
Okay.
And so I took it somewhere to get it dynoed, to actually have it tuned, because it was running crazy. It was awful.
Yeah.
And so I did. I put some money into it, do my, get my normal thing. And then I'm like, you know what? This is going to be just a heartache to try to daily drive and use all the time. I was driving in the snow.
Also, it's ugly.
It was ugly, but in a cool way. In a cool way.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think
whatever you got to tell yourself.
I think 944 turbos are fine.
But it was a 924. So
But
it was
924s?
Yeah. So it went from 33.
Sorry, Derek.
Yeah, sorry. Derek.
So this thing
So
I bought for $5,000. I probably put another $2,500 into it, and it was sitting at $3,300.
Oh, jeez.
With 3 hours left on the clock. So I'm feverishly trying to get logged in. Blah 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 blah.
Answer all these reasonable questions.
Oh shit! Oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm just being called a piece of shit up and down for not replying to anything, and it barely tipped $10,000.
Oh well.
And I'm like, cool.
Right, yeah.
That was the most stressful transaction of my entire life. Oh my! And it had to be on complete display too, which makes it even worse, right?
Oh yeah.
You're at the biggest auction site, and your name's just being drugged for he's just not
Because you need to make a new username from a different IP address.
Yeah, exactly.
And the part that makes me feel bad is so the guy that bought it was thrilled, just like I was at that point. He's an attorney.
Until he wasn't, yeah.
He's an attorney for Amazon. So, like, for him, he's like, oh, well, it's a screw-off car. Who cares? But I looked back at the old auction because I wanted to, like, relive the horror, right? Because I talked...
Why you would do that, but
Because I had talked to one of my buddies who, again, has too many cars, gets sentimentally attached, never gets rid of them. I talked to him about a year and a half ago into getting rid of his SR586. I was like, buddy, you've done that car good. You bought it for $1,500 years ago. It's worth a bunch now. You hate driving it. Let something go.
Yeah.
And so we were going through that, and I saw the guy I bought the Porsche from was asking how the new owner was liking it. And the new owner, the attorney, was like, I'll sell it if anybody wants it. Like, all caps, anybody. I was like, it didn't matter. It's just like, that car is just, it just needs a different motor. It just needs, that car needs a different car.
It needs to not exist, basically.
Yeah. Bring a Trailer just flat out, essentially, well, I'll take that back. They didn't flat out tell me no. I reached out with the TJ that was LS swapped on 44s, lockers, pretty darn clean.
Axles top the tires. Okay, keep going.
Dana 44s.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And it's people
You heard you say 44s.
Yeah.
I saw the look on his face.
It was on 35s because that's what you could get for 15s.
No, it was on 30. Oh, wait, okay.
It was only ever on 35s because I had 15-inch wheels.
But to have Dana 35...
No, it had a 30 and
I don't know. I'm just trying to...
No,
so it wasn't a Rubicon.
No, it wasn't Rubicon, but it was on a Dana 44 front end, Ford 8.8.
So it only had one Dana 44. Let's pull that
But
back.
it was LS swapped.
44.
It was LS swapped 44.
It was on 144.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
And the guys that bring a trailer were like, yeah, no, we'll do it. You got to do it. No reserve.
The people.
And I was like, what?
Bring a trailer.
The folks.
Go ahead.
Them
Sorry.
humans. They were like, yeah, but you got to do it no reserve. We won't do it with a reserve. And I was like, I want a very reasonable reserve. I want it to be 15. Like, the Jeep will sell for more than that. I think that's a very fair spot. At that point, with all the work that I've done, I am even. So if it gets 15 or more, that's great. Like, but I want a reserve. And they're like, no, we're only going to sell your rig if you sell it no reserve.
When was this?
This was...
A year and a half ago?
Yeah, a year and a half.
Not even 2 years.
Because I have this theory. Remember, like, in every, like, 90s movie, like, the bad guys laundering money was through fine art, right?
Right, yeah.
It's fucking Bring a Trailer now.
Yeah.
Because in the last year or so, people are flipping reservations for, like, Broncos and whatever, like, but nothing's getting through.
Well,
my Celine, again, credit to that, I am actually a car guy. I bought a Celine, knowing nothing about them just because... But
he bought the wrong Celine.
that was a good Celine. That was cool. It was signed by Steve Celine and his wife.
More if it wasn't.
But still.
Why did his wife sign it?
Who is she? Who cares? Right? It doesn't matter. The fact
John signed it, so did Tony.
Celine.
Yeah. But like
Barbara.
It's probably gonna be worth a bunch in a couple of years when the guy passes. But anyway. But they've been flunking a lot of cars. But I'll see just the most random thing. Like there's a guy in Portland runs a dealership, just doing base XJs.
Yeah.
And he's getting like 10, 20 grand for these for no reason at all.
Oh, he's in the mob.
But then we've got buddies that, she has like one of the nicest E36 M3s. Like this is like under 100K.
Okay.
It's in amazing shape. It's the obvious blue everybody wants. No thanks.
I think...
Yeah.
Well,
Porsches have been getting flunked. Like, I don't really understand, like, what...
They just didn't want it unless it was...
The no reserve thing is big. And I listened to a podcast with Doug DeMuro talking about that because Cars and Bids is really big on no reserve as well.
Yeah.
And they think, and they obviously have the data that I don't have, says that it attracts more bidders, right? Because if somebody sees no reserve and it's at 6, they're going to put 7. And it just keeps going. And so that's the game that they have, like, dug their heels in and they are... playing, and
which really is convenient from the person who doesn't have to accept
the risk.
Yeah. They have zero risk in it.
Yeah.
So for them, they might get more attraction on their site, and their difference between $15,000 and $20,000 is $100. So for them, that is not the risk. For anybody else, that's $5,000 that you didn't get in your setup. So I get that makes sense from the business standpoint of the business doing it. It doesn't always make sense from the person selling the rig. I sold it for 18 and a half. It was great.
Fine.
It went on Craigslist. Thanks, Craig. And this old dude came. I've never seen it in town since. Not once have I seen it.
Radwood does their own auction site now.
That's cool.
I moved an AW11 through it. Same deal. Like, they were super easy to deal with. Like, it's the way that it should be. Obviously, a lot less product. Maybe it's a little better now. But yeah, same thing. Real nice and easy. But yeah, I was shocked with Bring a Trailer that really at the end of it,
Going to pie.
all you get is like some guy's email.
Yeah.
All right, you guys figure it out.
All right. Well, we
All
did the
right,
hard work.
sweet.
See ya.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I don't know. I've heard that the big auction houses, the Meekums and the Barrett Jackson and the Sotheby's stuff is the same way. Like,
Yeah.
they really want no reserve because
and I guess
it's the most exciting.
It is more enticing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
I don't know if I have an opinion on it. I think that it is what it is, and I think that is like Mike didn't like, right? Like, that's the business part of it, where it's like, we want the most views, we want the most traction. We really don't care what you sell it
I do
for.
like how wise you are to finish up this part
Without
with
him,
him.
it's great. It's so much quieter. It's so much easier to be like, to say a thing that I know Mike doesn't like.
Yeah. But like I said, I do think there is a strange thing. Like, there's definitely been a shift with Bring a Trailer specifically. You know, lots of like brand partnerships and et cetera. Like, dude, build your business for sure. But I do feel like the gate to entry has definitely moved substantially. And it's in a weird direction because, again, you're like, there used to be a time where you would take anything that said Porsche,
Yeah.
hammered or not. Now I'm seeing nice ones get denied of even being, open auction. But then again, like, you're just doing reservations of like new cars.
Yeah. I think that's probably cooled down, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because
That's got to be like a pandemic hype thing.
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. But I also think that like that market got bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because 5 years ago that was the only company doing it.
Yeah.
And so it was like, whatever, that's where you went. And now you have Cars and Biz, and you have a Radwood site, and you have these other things that have come up where it's like, it spreads it out just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Good or bad, I don't know.
He read the book and now he talks with his hand.
I always talk to my hands.
Barely
I'm sorry. It's fun because like when we're on regular like video, like I'm doing it down here and you can't.
But just his shoulders kind of suggesting it.
I always do it. Okay, so I don't even know what got us to there, but that's great.
So what I was here, I'll just take this away from you for a sec.
Sure.
So what I was excited about, one, the fact that like you guys still consider me a friend, which is super fucking weird. I'm not very interesting, right? But I appreciate it. But
You have something to sell?
criminalizing, yes, of course I do.
That's what you're in the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Yeah, the criminalizing of car flipping, because as I've done this, time and time again, so many of my friends are like, either I bought something from them or they bought from me, or like somehow just having this for a moment like brought me into like a different fold. It's been a really fun thing, and it's really cool that years and years later, like, I can go to Eugene, I can be around here, I can show up really anywhere, and like, you're gonna get about the same kind of neutral, like he's an okay, whatever person, it's fine. That is awesome, because in so many other things, it's like you can really go one way or the other, and I love like the diversity of my friend groups through car culture, and that's like, I've never been the kind of guy that's like, I'm not gonna build a car that's like high horse, that's gonna make like great drag times. I'm never gonna be an accomplished driver, like that's why I love track night series, right? But it's fun to like show up in a different car. It's almost a game for my friends, right? Because I never show up to PIR in the same car,
Right.
So it is this fun game. And then I've had other people talk to me like, they'll have like some weird moment of sobriety of like, hey, dude, like I bought something from you or sold something to you, and you're super nice, and I started trying this for a minute, and I got burnt out.
Yeah.
But like you gave me kind of a path through like a rough spot in life. And also got me to meet new people.
Wow.
And so it's weird. And I'm not just bullshitting this. It is a really cool thing to be like, holy shit, I'm actually kind of contributing something, whether I know it or not, in a positive way to like my small corner of the world. And
I actually had the opposite happen, where some guy lost his ass on an Audi because I had bought an Audi and was cleaning it and had it cleaned up and was selling it. And he's like, oh, dude, I'm going to start flipping Audis. And I was like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea. This worked for me right now because I got lucky on this thing. Don't do that. He's like, no, man, I'm doing it. He had this A3 that had like front end damage, and it sat in front of his business for forever. And I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to this guy. I've lost. He was he did like paint correction, full detail and vinyl wrapping, and he was right down the street from my house, and he was super nice and really well priced. He did window tints for cheap, and like, I can't go there anymore. The Audi is sitting in the back. It is less and less good every day. And I'm just like, man,
You started with the wrong one.
I wish you didn't follow in, like, this was a bad idea from the start.
Yeah.
You should never have done that. And I haven't seen him since. So, yeah, similar but different stories.
I think that, like, your bit of car culture is interesting because, like, I think that's, like, I made the joke that, like, Mike is more passionate about it, but you care about the car community, right? And that is part of what you're doing, whether you intend to or not, right? You're like having these cars you're cycling through, and when you're cycling through these cars, you're cycling through different groups of people and different, sections of automotive, and I think you intertwine yourself in those communities because you like them. Like, that makes sense. That's perfectly
and I
fine.
genuinely care about the cars. I like talking about the cars that I have.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, if I had stuck with like the Mark II Volkswagen, it would have been like a kid at 19. I'd smell like vape juice, that sort of thing, right? Like, but it was pre-Subaru.
You still would have hung out with our friend group probably, though.
But maybe. Again, but then it's like, to get into, honestly, the E36, like, that's obviously an easy target. I've had way too many of those, and
I've had a lot of those.
I love each one.
I had 2 on accident.
Yeah. And they're great if you get, unless you
I
get
didn't
non-Vanos one, and then you're having no fun.
I didn't have great ones.
I've had one with no Vanos, but anyway.
I have no idea what I had.
But,
I
like,
sold it so fast.
getting into like track culture, those guys are totally weird, but it's
Like
also
Jesse.
fun to do it's also just like the regular bi-weekly meets here.
Sure.
There's like corners of the parking lot I don't maybe like to hang out around and do that either, but overall it's fun, right? Like, it's still nice to be like, rather than like say like, hey, I'm only entrenched in this, I only wear this brand, I only identify this.
Yeah.
It's like I'm all over the place. Like, straight axle first gen 4Runner, 3-cylinder K car, everything else in between. Like,
Did you buy a Fox Body Mustang for me?
And it was
at one point?
amazing.
Yeah.
That was fun. And it was also one of the biggest pieces of shit I've had. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the
You can
reason
see
I
how
drove
much days
Yeah.
this rode through the door.
Dude, I drove that to Reno and back as part of my bachelor party. So I bought it, zip tied the front end together, and then did a bunch of challenges.
What bums me out about that is that you were in such a good mood about that, and for some reason, like, extended me an invitation. This is why I mean, like, he was way in a good mood.
I was having a great time.
You invited me to come, and I'm like, I barely know you, and it would be amazing to do that. I'm too poor. Let me sell a couple cars so I could even think about affording that trip. Yeah, but it was still
It was a great time. We bought Sean a car while we were doing it.
nice.
Yeah, my car broke. It was an Audi.
It was an Audi.
He
It
bought
broke
the
like
wrong
15 minutes
all
from
road.
town.
I bought a $500 all road, and I
15
broke it
minutes from town.
after winning the first challenge.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then we bought a car, and then
I
I
mean-
won a lot more, and Mike won because...
It was my bachelor
It was his
party.
Yeah, you can't let him.
No, I understand how that went. We were pretty close. You still would have
What do you
won
mean?
probably overall.
What do you mean you get to win because it's your bachelor party? Tyson didn't
They
win
gave
on
it
his
to me.
bachelor party.
I didn't ask for it. They gave it to me.
We
Oh,
tied,
for crying out loud.
We tied. I didn't
tied.
ask for it. They gave it
and
to me, and I'm fine with
I
that.
gave it up.
Yep, it's in my garage. I have the trophy. Sean can borrow it anytime he wants.
I don't have the Aveo anymore, but...
Yeah,
Oh, that was
we sold
fun.
that to some dude in
Reno.
Reno. He showed up with like a Batman T-shirt and a cane.
Yeah, there was a whole story there. That's a separate podcast.
I'm just glad that you sold it before you came back home.
I was very concerned that I wasn't going to be able to sell it. In fact, it sold at like... God, the guy emailed me back at like 3 a.m. the day we were leaving, and I was like, you have to meet me at the Rio or what,
Wherever
that's
we're
in
staying,
Vegas,
yeah.
wherever we were staying, like at 8 a.m. because I'm leaving. And he was like, all right, I'll be there with my wife and I'll bring cash. I actually did put the thing in my name because I had to get a temp maybe.
Yeah,
It was
we
like-
stopped
You
at the
bought it at a
DMV.
dealership.
in
No, we
Lakeview,
bought it,
Oregon.
but it didn't matter.
At a dealership.
The
That's right.
dealership didn't actually help us. You had to go to the
I had to go
DMV
to the DMV.
in Lakeview.
And then I went to the next challenge, which was a slalom, and I beat everybody because Justin, my future brother-in-law, blew the brake box at the end of the course in the Fox.
He also blew a 2-3
was
shift
awesome.
in the drag racing. We had a
Which is how I
5.0
won
Fox
the
Body
Audi.
Mustang, which had GT40 heads. It was great. I beat everybody at everything, and I'm nobody.
Except the all road.
I beat the all road. I beat the all road. Justin lost to everybody.
Well, it ended up
because we had a secondary.
It ended up.
No, I know because I raced you again afterwards.
That's right. Because we did a heads up for fun.
Yep.
Yeah. He did. He
I was so
murdered me.
mad. I was so mad because my best friend, my brother, race car driving instructor at the time, shows up and misses the 3-4 shift or the 2-3 shift.
Must have been 2-3 because we weren't going fast.
and
lost to an automatic
and
already.
That's fine. God.
I was so confident too because I was like, I'm gonna get the dig on this. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna get him out of the gate. I did not. He launched on me, and I was like, oh no, yeah. And then by the time he misses that shift, I had gotten to the top of like first in the boost, and I was like, I think I'm gonna pass him. And then I did, and then it was fine.
I was so mad. I was like, that's the first challenge we had, and that Fox body, that was the challenge for it.
Yeah, it was the one who was supposed to win.
God.
Did you guys ever watch a show called Bull Run? Again, this is like way dating. But this is like, this might even be like 2006, 2007. They came through Oregon. They did a section of the Oregon coast, and all of them
I think I know who that is.
At one point, how tight it was. I just want to do that. I just want to do season 1 of Bull Run. That'd be...
Well, let's talk about this, because I've said challenge road trips. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, we got to start off slow, because just getting people to do any kind of, like, let's drive a car is really hard. Like, the last time I got a group, just going over 242 and down the backside without somebody, like, almost taking out a family's minivan.
That's a problem.
Like, you got to have, like, a group you really trust, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the luck of our group for my bachelor party, was that it was a bunch of good people. And so, like,
some common sense skills.
And Justin and I had done the trip ahead of schedule, and like we had an airport that was going to let us do the slalom there. We found it was a gravel airport for emergency landings that we found that you just could drive onto, and we're like, go to Woe on gravel. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And so we did all those. But we had it like pre-gamed, and everybody who did it was a blast.
Nice.
The airport dudes were cool.
Awesome.
The guy at the airport
it was like a
set the time in like a Ford F-250 or 350.
Yeah.
Like
and we
Super
rode in
Duty.
the back seat.
I did not. I chose. I didn't get into that, did I? I didn't get in it.
I don't know, but I was in it.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Why?
God.
I don't know.
He set the time to beat, and it was wild. But everybody's really cool because we pre-planned it, and I met everybody, and Justin and I met everybody. We asked questions, and we tried.
Yeah, and you knew. I mean, obviously you knew, and that'd be the way to do it. I think.
Yeah, I think see how close I am with watch season 1 Bull Run. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin was the host.
This is like a
swear I've seen
gumball
this
kind of
thing.
scenario.
It was like
and like
Or like
they were like
Gold Rush Rally.
Yeah, they
kind
were
of
like
thing.
unreasonably afraid of a stock Scion TC because it was like the first year it came out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it was awesome. They did these like challenges, like they had like fluorescent tubes on the sides of a school bus going out at PIR, and you had like a roof rack on your car, and you had to like one tube out of sight go around this bus. Like they had these fun little challenges.
That's cool.
But the road course shit was awesome because they started like I think it started like in Montana or something, made their way over through Washington, down through Oregon, stopped off in Winchester Bay, and so I'm just like nerding out watching like sections of road. And this guy had like his Murcielago or Guyot or whatever it was, smashed a raccoon and basically totaled the fucking car. But I'm like, so much of that I was like, this is so doable. This is so easy. Like this is such a piece of shit show.
Yeah.
You could do this with like a handful of like decent common sense driving friends. Like
In $2,000, $3,000 cars.
I want to do. Yeah. Like even just to start off cold with the loop. Like all right, we're doing 97 to 58 to Eugene and back. Like all right, let's see how many fuck ups we have. That'll weed out some people.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then you're like, okay, now we can commit to like we're just doing 126 to Florence and going all the way up, right? And maybe hook up for like a show in Seattle. Like that would be so freaking fun.
Yeah.
Start at the Redwoods and go top to bottom.
There is a Dragon Drive event that does that. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like something the Redwoods, which would make sense.
Clever. That'd be really cool.
Clever. Very clever.
There's a lot of cool. That's on my bucket list is to do a Dragon Drive, and I don't see how it pans out before they're not a thing because it seems like they're slowly like the tracks are going away and there's less and less of them. But that's on my bucket list as I want to take
even
miles.
like Overcrest Rally. I mean, it's unfortunate that like I completely missed that they were coming through here.
Yeah,
this fall.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was like I had a couple friends that did it, and they're like, "What were you even doing?" And I'm like,
I don't send it home.
I was having a really hard time, honestly. Like this was not my year.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain Race Week is not that far away from us. It's all, obviously the Rocky Mountain area, but like it's a 6-hour drive to get to one of the tracks, and then it's 1,000 miles of driving and 4 or 5 racetracks. I think it's 4 racetracks, but you do the first one twice, so it's 5 days on the quarter, and like that in a stock C5 Corvette with your son when he's old enough to sit in the front seat without a booster is going to be a blast. Yeah. So like when he's 8, that's what I really would like to do. And I talked to Miles about this, and he said he's going to save up some money, but he makes it like a quarter at a time per week. Yeah. We're feeding the dogs. That's his only chore. So it'll take a long time, but.
Are you trying to have him fund your entire trip? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
All right, that's
a
strategy.
There's years.
There's not a lot of them, but there
3.5. 3.5. But yeah,
I tried
those kinds of things, those rallies, those dragon drives, those BDRs, all that stuff is so cool to get a group and accomplish a thing.
And if you don't participate or push for it, I mean, that kind of stuff goes away. I mean, Leavenworth Drive is now kind of like a weird...
defunct. We were just talking about this today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dead this year, right? They didn't bring it back around like they talked to you last year.
Some dude said that he was going to, and I didn't see anything about it. Like, I saw that, like, they had said that there was going to be an organized thing, and then saw nothing afterwards. Like, no pictures, no videos, no word at all about it. So I don't know that it even happened. Like, I think the whole Leavenworth thing is completely dead, which sucks.
And that's why it's like I like to push for stuff like, even though PAR is kind of a boring circuit to look at, it is still motorsport. It is still fun, like hone your footwork and like get in groups with those guys, because people that had never even got outside autocross, I talk them into it. Just come with me, dude. Like, I don't trailer anything. I'm gonna drive there, run there all day, and still make it home fine. It's fun. Now we go to ORP. Hopefully, we're getting up to the Ridge.
Oh, cool.
That's a fun looking circuit. So it's
Where's that?
In Washington.
Okay.
Just a little. I'm terrible with Washington, but it's like just before the fork to go off to Seattle.
Okay.
But yeah, just to get involved in that, and then like Overcrest Rally, I had no idea really what that was. They're doing Utah this year. I guess it'll be their second time. That's not that far, but
that's not that far.
That'll probably be fun. I might actually just have to participate, like keep the wagon or get something equally kind of.
You will sell the wagon and find another thing. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's true. But it's so fun.
He'll probably just buy it back again.
Probably. Well, that's the crux of Song to Friends, right? Is that you love Song to Strangers because then you never see it again, right?
That is true.
It's gone.
How many times have all of you sell cars? Let's put that out there too. By the way,
hold
you
on.
two aren't saints.
Hold on.
Yeah. So neither of you are very good about it.
We barely sell. It's pretty young.
I'm sorry. How long have you had the Jeep? How long have you had the
I'm worse
Wagoneer?
than Sean, but
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can openly admit that I'm worse than Sean. But here's the difference.
It's because you haven't had an R56 Mini Cooper yet. That's why.
And that'll never happen either.
Over his dead body.
The difference is
every time I get one, I love sending you what I'm doing to it.
All of the vehicles that I buy, I'm like genuinely into and like want that thing, and like I don't want to get rid of it. I end up getting rid of it because of other circumstances.
Yeah,
I think I've flipped.
So you're just like me.
3 cars in my life, that I got knowing like I'm getting this to sell.
Yeah. And there's value here,
and that was. Like that.
You see, this is so nice. I'm now feeling because I thought I was just going to get beat up on, but really listening to you guys, we're the same person. It's just you guys are in like various states.
You're not as good at it.
I know I'm not good at flipping cars. Yeah, no. because like I said, I don't buy car. I'm not the person that says I really like this car.
Yeah.
I don't buy it with the intent of selling it for the next thing.
Well,
or with even the thought of this is my step to the next thing. It's like. Something happened, like the Passat gets fucking wrecked.
Yeah,
so it's like,
the Falcon.
What am I gonna do?
Comet. Sorry, yeah.
Which was a family heirloom, and I sat on it for 10 years, and it was finally just like, you know what? I let somebody else have it. Like Like I usually have one car that I hold on to for like an expansive amount of time. A couple of other things change, and then this one is still here.
Yeah.
And then once that one moves, it's like everything changes, and then one car stays again for 10 years. Like
Yes.
And even for me, it's the same with the Evo 3 would still be here. That partially funded buying the house.
I was surprised.
So like that didn't go away because I was bored. Like I had just put on this stupid Jetta livery, right?
Oh yeah.
I was having so much fun with that car.
about that.
yeah.
But to buy your first house and like, okay,
Yeah.
this is an extra 15, 20 grand towards that. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so for
Did I
me,
look at that?
most of that. But yeah, the ones that are straight flips are like when I drive somewhere to sell it and I need a way to get home. That's, you said a Veo. I forgot I owned one. I had Hoosiers on it.
Yeah, I should have had Hoosiers on
You
mine, but it was fine without it.
You hear the chassis pulling itself apart when you come through corners because the tires were overpowering the whole bodywork.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was amazing.
Have I ever bought a car from you? So you bought the Mustang for me. That's it,
I
right?
think that's it. I think I've been your sucker, but you haven't been my sucker.
Okay.
That's why we're actually friends.
By the way,
That's it. To answer that question, to throw it all the way back.
I don't know how the Mustang worked out for you though, because that's an interesting one. I didn't do a lot to it except I straightened out the nose a little bit. I zip tied a bunch of body panels together, and then I like tuned it up. I did plugs, wires,
I'm gonna
tuned it up.
This is Mike's $500 Mustang.
My $500 Fox body Mustang. So
That,
what I
that I
did,
paid a lot more than that for.
by the way, I bought it.
That's because he got there through some strategic math.
Some wonderful trading. So
Oh, yeah.
I
you
had
got to
a-
500 very strategically.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
No, I had. What did I start with?
Alex pointed this out to me once before too.
I don't remember what I started with, but I bought, or I traded it for an Eagle Talon. I traded the Talon for a Miata. I traded the Miata for that 66
He started with a paperclip.
country sedan. Bronco at one point. I had and these are all trades. I did not.
Yeah.
I just worked on and didn't pay money for. I had a Trans Am at one point.
Really? No,
It was a
the
Camaro.
black
It was a Camaro. Yeah. I had a black Camaro at one point. I just traded.
Camaro was like a
Oh,
79 or
it was so bad.
81 or something.
It was flat black.
God,
It was means to an end. It was
Yeah.
not the one I wanted to bring. So I think I
while
traded.
he had it, he wanted to keep it.
No, I
That's,
don't think I ever said that.
that
about
is the
one.
usual MO, though.
The 66, the wagon. That
That was
I said
good. I
that
do
a
remember.
bunch of times. But I traded that for the Fox body, and the Fox body is what I originally took. But like I started for 300. I bought my first rig in that whole thing for like $300, and just kept trading and trading and trading. That Fox body was great. No AC,
Yeah.
windows down all the way in the summer to Reno. Justin and I probably put 2 pounds of sweat into each of those seats.
Yeah.
And then you got to have them.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Um,
I just remember looking at
I
the
put the
passenger
dash
floor
together.
and seeing this much highway
Yeah.
through the bottom of the passenger door.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Like I don't know what got hit or how it was fixed, but
But
like
the whole thing was like shaped. It was basically until you got to the back of the doors, it was straight, and then it was like that for the rest of it.
Oh my god.
And I told you that,
yeah,
and
No, no,
I
it's
think
fine.
it had a clean title still.
it did somehow.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I
Just
zip
never
tied.
reported
You
it.
just don't
Yeah,
report.
I was gonna say.
I zip tied most of the
Yeah,
front
yeah.
body panels into place to make them look
Yeah.
pretty good.
No, but like I
That's
said,
the
it's like
point.
I've sold lots of cars to friends, and that is the problem. Is like I'm even with people I don't know, I'm very deprecative when I sell cars. Right?
Oh yeah,
I love leading with here's what's absolutely trash because I
and here's my phone number to call me at later.
But, like,
if
no,
you have
I
questions.
seriously can't stand if somebody's going to have like a big problem. Like if there's a common sense thing, fine. Hopefully I weed you out before we get to that point.
Yeah.
But if I'm meeting you in person, I'm like, okay, well we've kind of covered things, whatever. Unfortunately, it goes over well most of the time.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys have horror stories, but literally the worst one, and I think this is like the only guy I've actually had to like block.
Colin?
Colin.
No,
Okay.
totally
Different
different.
other guy you've had
Totally
to block.
This is the second guy you had to block.
I had a Ranger to get me through like a winter one time, and this guy showed up. He's like, "Dude, this is too cheap for what it is. It was like $2,500, extra cab, 4-wheel drive, manual. I just need something to get me to Texas." And I'm like, "I don't know that it can do that, but
Yeah.
it drives right now. I drive the wheels off of everything, which is why most people that know me are usually okay buying my cars. They're like, well, he obviously didn't just get it last night and push it to his house.
Right.
He's got videos of him taking it up to Portland, running it around the track, beating the shit out of it.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, so they're like, okay, it might not be perfect, but it's probably mostly reliable, and if nothing else, he's honest about it. This guy, even after we agree on a price, I put in a new power steering pump. in the parking lot of Fit Garage, not associated. I was like, hey, just doing this, just to like
Just
really,
need a place to
just
do
to
it.
really kind of win you over.
I
That was
almost
his
wore my
big,
Fit
that was
Garage
his
shirt
big
today,
thing.
by the way.
I did too, yeah.
You brought it up a couple times.
So this guy, 6 months later, in half a goddamn continent away, he's in Texas, right? Hey man, did you ever have tranny problems? I forgot I even owned this car at one point.
Well, because you had 15 since
Right,
then.
yeah, exactly. It's been 6 months. And he's like, well, when I'm going down the highway for a little while, it starts making a noise. You're in Texas, going down a highway, and after a while, it starts to make a noise?
In a $2,500 Ranger?
Right. And
Yeah.
so he wants me to send some money to him to fix that transmission. And I'm like, I don't know how to, I'm a very polite guy, but I don't know how polite to say get fucked, but like,
Give your balls a tug.
go to hell. No, I'm not going to give you anything. He's like, what do you mean? Nothing, dude. Like, the Amco transmission says it's $4,000 to fix this tranny. Like, you're going to split that with me. No.
No.
So I block him. He went back and remembered the name of the business, writes Alex a negative review, the only one he's ever had.
Oh my
And I
god.
don't know if you know Alex very well, but he is, like, despite outward appearance, crippling self-consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And if you say anything bad about him in any way, like, so that's kind of like, that was like, I think the tipping point of like me not being there, like as an employee is he just like, he just acted like he didn't know me. And he's like, I threw you under the bus hard. Like I did this. And I'm like, I didn't even do it through the shop.
Yeah.
Like it had nothing to do. Nothing about that had whatever. But he needed that negative review taken off of Google reviews.
Man.
And that's
super. Yeah.
out of hundreds of cars, hundreds of transactions, and most of them in town.
Yeah.
Again, like I have like some people that's repeat customers or a reference from a friend, or you just, again, most of you guys know me through this kind of stuff. It is nice that like the wildest, the worst one I've had is because shit, I bought a trashy Ranger and I met a Ranger customer.
Yeah.
Ooh,
He's a Ranger guy.
And that's an off-road Miata, so...
Miata's a performance car. I'm like,
Well, Ranger is too, off-road.
well, that is true.
I had almost. I had what I thought was going to be a situation like that.
I thought you were going to say you had what you thought might have been a Ranger.
No,
I was like, you didn't fucking know?
I had the Mazda version.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was a Ranger.
A
I didn't think it was.
B2609,
It was just a 20. It was
Oh,
2000.
2000? Yeah,
That's
okay.
a two-wheel drive pickup truck, maybe. But I had a situation like that where I thought it was going to go that way, and it was on a car that I essentially mistakenly bought on eBay, that first-gen Montero. So that thing, it was on like Marketplace and everything for a long time. The dude had terrible pictures of it, so you couldn't really tell how good or bad it was, but it was overpriced no matter either way.
Yeah.
And then it randomly, like, it just shows up on eBay. I don't even know what I was looking for on eBay when I scrolled across it and I was like, I think that's the same one. And I'm looking at it, and it was like no reserve, and it was at like $1,500. And I was like,
Yeah.
first gen Montero, $1,500.
yeah,
I can do this. And so like throw a couple bids in, it goes up a little more, but like doesn't even go up another $1,000. And I'm like, yep, perfect. Like this is under my thing. But like at the same time, I was like, I don't care if I get it. Like I don't want it really, but it would be funny to get it for way less than this guy wanted to sell it for.
Yeah.
Just because in my mind, I'm like, he doesn't deserve the amount he was asking. He doesn't deserve half what he was asking. But it's going to be great if I can get it for like nothing, just because I can laugh to myself about it.
$1,600?
And sure enough, I get it. So I have to go and meet him in Grants Pass to pick it up. And the second it pulls in, I'm like, oh fuck, this thing's bad. Like it's really not that good. And like, so just like whatever, like I've already paid for it, is what it is. Like here we are. And get in it. I mean, it drives fine and everything. It's just not that great of a first gen. And so I do a couple things like clean it up, and that's essentially it. And put better pictures up because like I said, all those pictures were terrible. So I took like a bunch of like very detailed, just so you can see everything it's got going on.
Yeah.
And I had a dude fly up from San Francisco to buy it and drive it back. And he was like, this thing's way nicer than anything I could find in my area. And I was like, wow, I'm sorry that is the case. So he buys it from me for, I mean, barely more than I bought it for, because it was like I didn't do anything for it. It was just like, I need to get rid of it now.
Yeah.
Pay me for cleaning it up, and that's it. Like, so that was all it was. He drives it all the way back, all good. Gets a toll ticket and sends me the money for the toll, even though I never registered it to me, so I mean I wasn't going to get the fee anyway. But he, the $5 Venmos me $5 or whatever later. It's like, okay, cool, whatever. And then he, so it had this weird starting issue where like every once in a while you'd like click it and the starter wouldn't go, and then it would just go. And the dude that I bought it from said it was the shifter. It was the park lockout.
Okay.
That wasn't what it was. Because it would do it no matter, like, all the time. You couldn't tell, there was no rhyme or reason for what it was doing. Like, and I checked the cables and all that, everything was fine. This guy takes it to a Mitsubishi dealer because he had one in his area. And I was like, you have one in your area?
Oh my God.
And he's like, yeah, we've got one in San Francisco. In the country, I was like, oh, okay, well, cool.
And they will touch up Ontario?
Yeah, they'll figure it out. I was like, okay, cool. So he takes it in there, and then I get a message, and he says, do you know, like, what the previous guy did to this? And I was like, well, I mean, he said he put a starter in it, and an alternator at one point, and like something like that. Like, he did a couple things to it, and I was like, and I told him when he bought it, I was like, I'm pretty sure the guy wasn't a car guy. Yeah. He came off as like didn't know anything, was in a brand new Bronco to drop this off. So going from a first gen Montero as your car to a brand new Bronco tells me, and it was like totally stock Bronco. So it tells me you don't know much. You bought some Vision wheels and tires from Les Schwab, and that's all you did. And then tried to do work yourself. So it turns out he had modified the bell housing of the transmission to fit some other starter in there. And so it was binding on the flywheel. That's why it wouldn't start every once in a while. So like it would take a couple of jams for it to like get it to turn the thing over.
Jeez.
The first gen automatics you basically have to find another first gen because it's not the same as a second gen.
Got it.
So it's like, so he can't do anything about it. He can't even put a Montero starter in there because now it's been modified and it doesn't fit. God. It doesn't work. And like I thought I was gonna I thought he was gonna be on me about it. Yeah. And he was like, no, he got all the other dude's information and tried to contact him. I guess he wouldn't contact him. But like, so luckily I was just like, dude, I'm sorry, man. I can't, there's nothing I can do about it, obviously, but he was cool about it. Man, I was on edge. I was like, oh God.
And I'll get little scares like that sometimes because like the ideal scenario is the one where I sold my E21. The guy drove to San Francisco and hit a tree in his neighborhood. Jeez. Ideal situation because you'll never hear from that guy again, right?
Yeah.
You're not fucking done. Like, cool, whatever. You're never fine. But once in a while, I do get messages back from people. I did have an RV that caught fire.
I was gonna say, but didn't your RV catch on fire?
So you think like, oh my God! But again, it's like if you do it the right way, if you're genuine and you're open and you're honest, and it's like, hey, I'm not pretending to be an expert, but here's everything. And I'm starting with the bad. And before somebody flies down here to pick up my stuff, I send cold start videos, walk-arounds. I make sure that I'm not one of those like surprise kind of people. That lady called me from the side of the highway, and I thought it was the same thing. Like, I'm already like, what can I do to help? And she's like, I don't know. And she just needed to talk.
Yeah.
And just letting her talk. She's like, well, I was like, do you have insurance? She's like, didn't do that yet. Also, this was a personal loan, so I can't do it. Like, there's no recourse. She just literally watched $8,000 burn up on the side of the interstate.
Oh my God.
Right? And so I'm like, I even told her, I was like, you know what? I made money on you. Let me split some of this with you. And she's like, no, it's okay. Thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I feel bad, but I also, I would have helped. Like, if she had said like, I'm already losing $4,000, even if we split the cost on this, I would have done it. And I think just being like a decent person is what kind of comes across after a while. Because you can tell, like, the people that, like, half the time when somebody calls after you sell a car, it's that, like, there's a weird tick I forgot to mention. Or they're just getting familiar with it. Because for us, like,
why
even
doesn't
in your
the window roll down? Well, hold on. You got to turn it off. You got to turn it back on again.
Right, but
and
like,
then you hold the button while you
like,
turn
you
it
know,
on,
like,
and it'll roll down.
as
Yeah, got
like
it.
people that don't like brand new cars, right?
Yeah.
Well, which ironically, my only brand new car is the only one that's left me on the side of the interstate. It is being lemon lawn. But we know that like there's always like weird little quirks, and so I usually say, hey, if you have questions, let me know. I'm not an expert, but I'll talk. And most of the time, that's all they need is like a quick piece of like reassurance or something like that. But the people that don't do well with this kind of stuff, that are kind of pieces of shit, the moment they get money, number block, or they don't answer,
disappear,
right?
No longer
exactly.
on Facebook, burner account. Yeah. I give everybody my cell phone number as we're there. I give everybody I tell everybody
only after deal's done. And I think you're a decent person. I'm like, here you go. Fine.
Yeah. I take a picture with the title, their ID, and my ID, and I take that picture, and I'm like, you should do that too. Like once we're ready, then you can find me.
Yeah.
I am this guy. There's nothing else that I'm hiding. Here's my cell phone number. Here's my information. If you've got problems with the rig, call me. I worked on it. I just put a bunch of hours into this, and I'm confident in what I did.
We're the same person, but you're a better version.
Yeah. But so when I was in high school, so a callback story.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I had a Bronco, and it ran on 6 cylinders most of the time. It had 8, and it was just fine to drive me to school and back. Yeah. It got maybe up to 40 miles an hour ever. And so I'm this kid, and I'm like 17 years old. I made a soft top for it out of vinyl because my parents had a upholstery shop. And I did all that, and then I found the hard top for it in some guy's yard that I was mowing. I was mowing lawns for money. I was a handyman for a little while.
Yeah.
And so I got the hard top for like $150, put that on it. It was a great Bronco. I spray painted it all blue. I sold it to a guy who lived in La Pine, and I said, dude, I bought this for $500. I'm selling it for $750. Like, here's what I've done. Here's all the things I know. I was a child, and I was like, I have driven it 35 to 40 miles an hour tops ever.
Yeah.
Guy calls me back on the landline, because this is, 2004, 2003 or something like that. Calls on the landline and says, hey, I want all my money back. Come pick up this Bronco. And I was like, what is going on? Where are you? And he's like, I'm almost to La Pine. I was doing 70 on the highway and the motor blew. And I said, holy shit. I'm a child. I said, holy shit, you got up to 70?
Yeah.
Like, I told you, man, this has never done over 40 in my whole life. And he's like, well, the motor blew and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, we signed a thing. It said as is. I told you everything. I informed you that it was mostly off, like running on 6 cylinders. Like, what's going on? And he's like, no, fuck you, kid. You give me my money back and you come get this car. And I said, well, and my dad walks into the room, overhearing most of it, picks up the phone and says, hey, come fucking get it. And hangs up. And I'm like, oh,
You can do that.
Wow, that's a dad move.
oh. And I'm like, my dad's going to fight a guy.
Yeah.
Never came, never said anything, never did anything about it. But all it took was that, like, I was just like, I'll do, like, what can I help? How can I? My dad's like, no.
This is where you draw a line and you got to be assertive. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a $750 86 Bronco.
Yeah.
Like, you made it as far as you should make it with that.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I'm on your dad's side like every time because I think that I'm overly polite a lot of times. Like, I really try to be nice. I really try to explain things like you're saying. I like to lead with it when I do sell a vehicle, which is not that often. I'm leading with all the terrible things.
Yeah.
And then I follow up with also like, it's really nice because of this. Like, that's the secondary bit of it, right? But every time I don't block anybody, but I am not in the business of talking to that person ever.
I don't want to hear about it.
I don't want to know.
No, exactly.
Because it is as is, where is every time. There is no. I would never tell anybody, and the polite person in me feels bad about this, but I would never tell anybody, please call me if you have questions.
Yeah.
I say thank you very much, and I push them on down the road because they have earned this problem now. It is not mine. Now, that being said, I've sold I mean, I don't know, 10, 15 cars, not 120 or 300 or whatever, 76.
Yeah, what's your number? What do you think your number is?
My college roommate challenged me to do this in 2010.
To actually write them all down.
It was at 240 that I could recall.
In
I
2010?
can recall.
And that was being able to like what I can. It took months for me to get that far on the list because I would forget ones that I
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I'm probably, I can remember 120 of them, which means it's probably like 150, 175.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
But like, I will always tell them, I was like, call me.
Okay,
Yeah.
we cannot be talked about in the same realm. Like you trying to say that I do the same thing, or we
No,
do
but
the
it's so fun to
we
get
are
under
not in the
skin with by
same
doing it,
realm.
yeah.
You have sold a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well, 'cause-
I have, but at
Because
5% of what you.
Because so here's the other side of like defending my bid, because I was thinking about this today. I was like, this is kind of a fun conversation too. Is like, oh, you're ruining it. Like, I'm not taking away someone's place to sleep. Not many people need like the random car I have to get to work. I'm not buying Civics, right? So I'm doing weird niche stuff, whatever. I also like that I am doing a part to like kind of keep money in community. I've spent money here to get told that I bought the wrong car. I spend more money at a different shop to have it fixed, or I go to another shop to have some accessories installed. But I get like half barred from the one shop because I bought an entire suspension package for a second-gen Montero. But I was like, give me the whole catalog. I just want to do this car right. Tires, everything that Iron Man had. And the guys were having such a bad day randomly that they were just like texting me all day while I'm at work, whining about like, there's rust. Like, guys, you work on like rusty shit all the time. This is not that bad. And you could just say no if you get under it and you don't want to. Like, you've done so many cars for me over the years. Why would it ever be a problem? But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I do the other fun side of like flipping is it's like, well, yeah, like make friends through businesses and have like good rapport. And it's like, it's kind of like a neat way too of like, yeah, I'm also helping out the community like financially too with like, I make some money, I reinvest it, I'm having fun. They're having like the guys in Import Performance. I cannot believe like the dumb shit they'll do for me. Like they are so goddamn nice. Bring the wagon, I blow a fuel line going over like the wrong driveway. They get it in like the next day.
Yeah.
Nice. The first gen 4Runner, they had that. I don't even know what the front of the solid axle was actually out of. Bought that car barely driving. Did my little stuff, and I'm like, all right, the axle, I don't want to deal with burr fields. I've done like one ever. You guys do it. Knock it out real quick. They're like, this has the wrong motor in it because it's 3/4 swap. It's got the wrong axle.
The right motor in it.
Yeah. It's the one you want.
The thing is, most shops would be like, oh, we don't want to do something that's like outside of like, the black and white, right? Like, this should have a 22 or it should have like a blown head gasket 3-liter. So like, it's really nice that it's like, now they're like, hey, we don't do with any weird import stuff anymore. And they're like, but you have an Alto. We'll work on your Alto.
Yeah.
So it is really nice. And like, I've never, again, probably you get some of this too. It's like when I buy something, I'm terrible. People think I lowball and I just don't. I ask people like, so what do you want? Or like when I go in for service, I have never once said like, hey, can we trim on price? Can we work on this a little bit?
No, I've worked with you in like in a retail scenario a bunch of times actually. Now that I thought about it, and then I'm like, we go really far back on that. So yeah, you've never been the guy that does that. You just buy the thing that you want.
Yeah, we were within like $200 of my asking for the Mustang.
Well, that's the thing because my rule especially with friends is that like, tell me your number, because you were like, give me a number, and I'm like, I won't. Yeah. I won't give you a number. You tell me.
Yeah.
And
but I think we were a couple $100 away from what I was asking. I think we were pretty darn close, and it was a great, like it was an easy deal.
Right.
But yeah,
I don't want to get punched in the face.
That's
well. And I wouldn't punch you in the face. I mean, we're in the same business here.
Oh my god!
Oh, look at that! Yeah. You'll punch Jesse in the face.
Yeah.
You won't punch Harrison.
You're not going to friend yet.
That's a high compliment.
So I had one thing. So we got to wrap this up because I think we're like way longer than we normally run. But I did want to go over haggling because I was telling Colin this morning that I just recently. I went through a haggling process, and it's been a while, because I don't buy and sell cars very frequently, since I was like, man, I got to offer this person like significantly lower than they're asking for this vehicle, because I think that's what it's worth. And like, I feel right about it, but I'm also, again, pretty polite. So I'm trying to be really nice about it. And to me, that means telling them why and acknowledging the fact that it's lower than they're asking for, right?
Sure.
You have or best offer. This is the price I'm willing to pay. These are the reasons why. I understand that is not the price that you're looking for. Let me know what you think, right? Like, that's my strategy.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Sometimes I see that as coming off as like almost can be condescending, right?
Sure.
Because nobody wants to like feel like, oh, you're demeaning something. Like, oh, you're all the reasons. You're like, I know it's old, whatever. They'll defend that. People just get defensive for no reason at all.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it works for me because, again, I don't know why I got this reputation to even start with. People assume that you go through a lot of cars, so you must lowball the hell out of everybody.
Yeah. You must be making money on everything.
I
no
don't.
matter what.
I rarely pay asking. Sometimes I do, because it is nice, that feeling when somebody goes like, hey, your car is awesome. I'll just take it. I get that once in a while.
Yeah.
It's nice to do to somebody else also.
Yeah, when
But
it's priced
my
appropriately.
strategy for like, okay, I need this to be like 40% less. Like, guy, like this is not a $10,000 car.
Yeah.
6 is plenty fair. I lead in with like a compliment, right?
Yep.
It's the opposite of selling. Selling deprecative and then follow up with the positives, right?
Sure.
So that's what you're left on. The other, and this is like no formula. This is just like what felt comfortable and it's worked for years. Start with, love your car. Would you be willing? Like, start with like a positive thing rather than like, some people just like to shoot you a number. I'm asking $10,000 for a car and some asshole just goes,
You take 5?
33.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go to hell. Like,
Yeah.
you're not even asking nicely. But yeah.
bet plenty of
So
times.
starting with like a complimentary thing, would you be willing to do this? Really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Almost every single time somebody goes, yeah, fuck it, I'll do half price. Because you were nice. You weren't a dick.
Yeah.
And it's
Just send me a
amazing.
price with no other
Oh, I hate that.
information.
Yeah.
My
My
Because
favorite
they don't need
sorry.
it. They don't need the negatives pointed out either. Like, they're just like,
I'm a
car-
it's their car. Yeah.
yeah, once
I
I'm
like
there.
it when someone gives you a number with zero context.
Yeah.
So they will message you on Facebook Marketplace with $4,000,
Just
and I'll be
yeah.
like $2. And
Yep.
they're like, what? And I go, are we just saying
We're
numbers?
just saying numbers.
Yeah.
I usually,
Or-
I like that game too because I'll either say like not parting out,
Yeah.
like it'll be like for a set of 4 wheels, so like something you do not
Yeah.
part out. They're like,
I'm splitting these up.
and they're like, are you fucking? I'm like, no, I'm Harrison. Like I love doing that kind of shit. These people do. I am petty.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I prefer making them tell me a number.
Yeah.
So like with the Pathfinder, I went to go look at it. The kid wanted a very reasonable number. We test drove it around the block. We came back and it was spraying coolant out of the engine bay. And I was just standing there looking at him. And I was like, buddy, I will buy this from you if you tell me the right thing right now. I was like, I don't want to be, I'm not going to haggle you. I'm not going to bother you. Just you tell me the number that you think this makes sense with me. And he said $400. And I was like, that's great. I will come back tomorrow. I will either try and drive it myself and keep adding coolant, or I will tow it home. Like, we'll figure it out. Awesome. But plenty of times when you're buying a car, like my favorite thing is you know what you should sell it for.
Sure.
You're asking for $10,000 and you know it's
Every
a
other one
$6,500 car. Yeah. Like, I'm like, hey man, I'm here. I have money. I will give you money. Give me a number that I can't say no to. You have all the time in the world to think about this. I'm not in a rush. Just give me a number I can't say no to. And I'm willing to meet you there if it's reasonable. If not, I'll give you my number. But like, I always people will lowball themselves and feel better about it
Yeah.
before you lowball them.
Yeah.
And it's regularly you get a really good deal on something because this guy bought it for so cheap back in the day and he's only got this much into it. He drove it for 10 years and he doesn't really need that much and he's not trying to buy something else. And so,
And even I'll do that.
yeah, I want to hang out with you.
Most
Let's
people-
talk about this
Yeah.
for 45 minutes.
The number of people just kind of stand there and they think about it or something like that, and I'm like, "What are you thinking?" They're like, they're like conflicted. You can just see
Yeah.
like they want to do something, they're really thinking about it. I'm like,
I'm a real
how about an
person
extra
here.
like $500? And Ari, my wife, hates it. She's
Yeah.
like, "There's nothing wrong with it. I think you lowball yourself too much."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, but if it makes somebody like forget that, the window sticks a little."
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Awesome.
Then
What's
you don't
nice?
get that
It's
call.
gone.
I'm never good at pricing cars high in that sense. Like I always feel like when I
Out of you.
put a car in, I put it for this is a fair price that I'm starting at. And when I start at that price and then people still want to talk it down, it's like really like I don't want to deal with this.
I hate that. Honestly, that's when I have the most trouble selling anything, is when I go for like a good, reasonable price.
Yeah, then it's
This is middle of the road. Fucking nobody wants it, or just constant low balls. But if I go like a
high
little
or
high,
fire sale. Those
Yeah.
are
Well, and that's what I don't get.
Yeah.
It's like everyone thinks that everyone's price is high because apparently like we're all supposed to haggle no matter what.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so everyone just like even if your price is fair, the next guy says, "Oh well, I'm going to get that for half that because because he's priced high." And it's like,
people
no,
love
I'm
a deal.
not priced high.
people love a deal. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I hate it too, but like
That's the whole thing.
I do it. I list things generally for nobody listen to this, but whatever, like 20% over, 15% over what I want to sell it for. That way the person will ask
And I was
that amount. Otherwise they'll ask me 20% down from where I listed it.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, and then I'll be like, God, I didn't want to sell it for 8. I wanted to sell it for 10.
I had a teacher in high school selling his wife's car. Couldn't get it gone. He had it up for like $600, and he's like, I got so tired of people like no call, no showing, or just kicking tires, whatever. He's like, I went to Fred Meyer, bought floor mats, drug it through the car wash, put it up for $1,500. Sold the wet weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
I only wanted $400 a couple days ago, but $20 mats and jacking my price to something ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree, and we all do expect that there is some haggle in price, but I do. It does bother me. Like again, like
My
You gotta
haggling
do one
is
way or the
like
other.
like all the prices that I've ever dealt with in buying, and like especially for buying wise, for I guess is what we're talking about is when I go to buy a car, I'm not haggling for more than a couple grand, most likely. Like it's
it's
like
gotta be close.
it's well within. It's like okay, well look, this I see, like you said, I see this wrong, and this wrong.
Yeah.
What do you say? $1,500 less than what you're asking is, and that's like that seems fine to me. The cutting the price in half is rough.
And I think there needs to be a differentiation between what you're doing, right? If you're driving to Washington to see a car and you guys haven't discussed price at all,
Right.
that's not fair. You need to talk to a person and be like, hey, I want to give you money. I don't think it's what you're asking. Are you willing to
and that's the
negotiate
only
with
time
me?
I'll say that too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't normally like to make an offer sight unseen.
But
Can we get a little
Yeah,
bit
if
close?
it's more than
Yeah.
out of town, if it's more than
But if we're in town,
like then
if we're in town and you try
always
to
put the
haggle with
price
me,
up first.
get your balls together and come talk to me in person. I will haggle with you in person, and I love it. It's great. We're having a great time.
Yeah.
If you try and change the price before you come look at it, and you live down the road from me, then no, I will not even talk to you. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You're going to pay me full price if you're ever going to get the rig. But I'm in the same camp of like, you either need to ask for too much so they will haggle you down to a fair, or you ask for too
As long as
little
like they're winning.
And then
because
they can
you
just
already
give you
had
sell.
a good
Yeah,
spot
yeah.
to come from, right? If I have a $400 car, it's worth $1,500 now, and I'm going to make that good money because I put 15 hours in the garage into it, which I also enjoyed, and it was like $30 in parts. Then I'll put it up for $1,500, even if I could probably have sold it for $2,500, because I will sell it tomorrow for $1,500, and everybody's going to be happy. You're going to be stoked. If there's some hiccups or some issues with it, then you're not mad about it because you stole it from me. I'm not mad about it because I got it for so cheap.
Yeah.
Like, we're all doing well. You got my cell phone number. You can call me if you are mad about it.
So
I still do that. I do that all the time.
Also,
I tell
they definitely
everybody to get a hold of me. I
they
want
have my cell number, but I'm not answering. I'm screening that call. No
always.
matter.
I didn't save your number, and I don't answer.
The last person who called me
unsaved
back
numbers. So.
after a rig was the guy with the Cherokee, the white Cherokee that I did a head on, and he called me back for like this, like the lift hatch was sticking, and I was like, oh, listen, throw your shoulder into it and then pull, and he's like, oh, it works every time. Great, man, we're good. Call me if you need anything else, and that was it. Nobody ever wants to get a hold of you if you deal with them well, you're kind, you
true.
give them a price that is fair, and you give them a rig that you've been honest about.
Unless it's
Because-
a Ranger and they take it to Texas.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that guy,
half a year later.
that guy would have called you if you'd have sold him a pristine
It wasn't even
Ranger.
broken.
Yeah,
It wasn't even broken.
it just made some
Of that
funny
is-
noises.
It
Yeah.
makes a
I
noise
haven't
after
had-
I get on the highway for a
I
while.
haven't had experiences like that, like other than the Montero guy.
Yeah.
I typically I don't want to hear from you after I've sold it, but I typically don't.
No, and
Yeah.
same for the
Never.
Almost
So-
because you never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
for the volume that I've done over the years, like same. I mean,
But-
mostly don't hear. And again, maybe it's like a one briefly after we've just done this. I just came up with something. Just going down the road.
Yeah.
Part of it, though, is making the sale at the same time, though. And this isn't like, I'm not trying to be dishonest about it, but if you give someone permission to reach out to you, if they have any problems with this rig
that
they're
does
buying from you,
dissolve like the
it
whole.
helps the sale.
Yeah.
They're not at the.
He's not
mom,
hiding something.
And half the time, mom's there with them, dad's there with them. It's a younger person who's got to call their uncle, who's a mechanic, and ask him questions. But like all these things that they've got these reservations or these blockades for. If you're just like, hey, call me. I'm here. Like I'm not going anywhere. I did all this work in the garage. If you need me to come back and like talk you through it or show you what I've done, I'm happy to help. Those people then feel confident in that rig. And if you did a good job, you should be making them feel confident because you did a good job. It's a good rig. I sold this Jeep for underpriced. I sold this Nissan for underpriced. The Suzuki for, I get a lot of small 4-wheel drive vehicles is the thing that I tend to play with. But like, it was a fair deal and I'm willing to help. People just feel better about it. And I want them to because that's the whole friggin' point.
I think that probably comes with volume.
Yeah.
Because, like, like a lot of times, and I think Colin's probably in the same scenario, like the Comet, right? Like, I'm selling my Mercury, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to sell this. I've listed it for a price that I'm willing to take. Somebody comes to get it. I don't want it to go away that much, but I need to, right? It's that start of your story, right?
Yeah.
Sign the paper, get it out of my sight. I don't.
Yeah.
This is where I move on. Now, if I'm making profit on something, like, a good amount, or I'm doing 10 of them, that's probably a different story. So I get that.
Can I tell you guys the two worst things I've heard from other people that do this and apparently have no scruples, no morals?
There's so many people in the game.
Right.
Oh,
And it's funny that I still have to kind of like to the face count them as friends, but they're decent people otherwise.
It's the reason we have to answer the question of, well, how long have you owned this?
Right.
There's
the guys, and there's a couple of them around here, that love to just call and lowball for sport.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
No intention to buy, no money, no interest whatsoever. Just to like as an exercise, right? To get the sellers like hopes up, something's gonna happen, maybe whatever, fine. Bullshit behavior. The other one, and he loves this because he loves just hopping on a plane, doing whatever, is I'm gonna get that car for half price.
Oh, yeah.
Once I show up. I'm gonna be, and I'll tell this guy, and he brags about it every time. I'm not leaving without this car, but I'm taking it for this price. And he's like, I get it almost every time. He's like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Sorry, somebody comes in with an attitude like that.
That's
and
why I
like,
mean,
it's
public places, I just
no,
drive away.
fucking walk off.
Yeah,
Walk home, dude. Like, you're not getting this thing. Sorry.
I did get pressured into a car sale one time, and again, it was that I think I've sold more things because I had to than I wanted to by a long shot. Now that I think about this all the way through, I have actually had some wins, and I've sold some cars that I did sell on purpose, like to get other cars, or because I've done well with them.
You've done some flips.
Yep, I've done some flips. And Harrison and I were talking about this before we started recording. It's a different time when you have a shop or something like that, right? It's like you're around it. So, but in my regular personal life, one time, and it was actually as I started the shop, somebody came to buy a car from me that I didn't really want to sell, but I had to sell. And he lowballed me so badly that he just fully broke me. It was that scenario where it was like, this is the best you're ever going to get, and I'm going to take it for this amount of money. And I, regret it now, but at that point, I was just like, you're the first person that's come in 2 months or what. Like, I do not care. Give me the money because I need it.
Yeah.
Get it out of my sight.
Yeah.
Please don't ever call me.
What car was it?
I don't want to say.
That's it.
Nope, that's an off-the-air comment.
We've talked about all kinds of cars we bought.
But you bought the amount.
Was it Harrison?
In the
Did he break you?
hundreds.
I'm gonna.
This is in the.
Self-proclaimed nice guy.
I'm still. I
did love this car, and that's part of the problem, right? And that's that is the to go full circle on the thing between you guys and us. I think, again, sorry, but I tend to get very attached.
I have flings, and I get that.
I'm monogamous with a car, or I've got a few
I've
of
had
them,
3
right?
of the same car. I buy the specific car on purpose because I love this car.
And again, to our credit, same. There's a very
we just love a lot more.
Yeah, we love a lot more. Yeah, exactly. It's part of the
Hard and fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
3 minutes of love.
But if I could, there would still be an Evo 3. I probably wouldn't do another Alto. I would.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, I really would. The FJ60, absolutely. No, I mean, there's plenty. The first gen 400, there's all these cars that would have stayed had things been more stable around me.
Yeah.
That's
my NB Miata, if I wasn't dumb, I would have kept that.
That was cool.
I know. Same thing with my S4. I'd have kept that if I wasn't dumb. The car seat fit fine. I don't know why I was so the car seat doesn't fit. And it's he's pushing on the thing. And this white leather Recaro interior is real hard to...
I think, honestly, that's a good decision that you don't have that one, because those things are nightmares.
That one already had the chains done.
Still a nightmare. They had to be done at one point.
Still
Still
the
could
wrong
happen.
S4.
But I liked it. I really liked it. Manual transmission, V8, S4.
1.8 V5.
With a white...
I love that wagon.
I hate
white
this interior
Recaro
so
leather
much.
interior. I loved it.
A manual
That's fine.
wagon,
That's fine.
sure, but never with that color interior.
It's fine. I really liked it. I really liked it. And,
Okay.
But, yeah, I've got plenty of
And
this.
on that bombshell.
Yeah.
Mike likes the wrong car, we go home.
I just feel like we're going to start going down the path of all the cars.
I don't have
ones that have
many.
gone away.
Yeah, I'm cool with getting rid of most of them.
That'd be a fun homework thing. Give me a couple months. But yeah, let's just see.
Yeah.
Let's see how far we
The
can
top
get down
10
the
list.
list. Yeah, there's been a lot of
The
repeats.
Great White Buffalo, yeah. Pick the one. The one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think for me that would be the NB, the Miata I had.
Wow.
They're a
It was
good time.
It was my.
It's got to be your
cleanest.
Evo, right? Or does it go all the way back to 510?
The 510 will always be incredibly special.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that was to get the car right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's kind of a hard thing to chase. And that's probably why it's kind of gone down this hole too. Is oh, I'm getting somewhere. Oh, then I met a cute girl. Oh, now I got to pay for a wedding. Sold all my cars. That's why we had an FX16 GTS that had to hold in 5th gear for the honeymoon. Is all the cool cars went away to fund a wedding.
Yeah.
And then you get built up, oh, you've got a kid. Okay, now the money's really not doing things. And oh, now your wife's going to college. And now the jobs in this town for me have been as you know,
Temporary.
kind of a fucking roller coaster.
They've been similar to
They
your
got-
car journey.
They got stable for a few years.
Right.
And then got really weird after the pandemic again. So, yeah.
I take offense to an FX16 GTX not being a cool car, though.
It was.
Okay, thank you.
I did like it, but mine was...
He said he sold
mine
all
was-
the cool cars.
Oh, wow.
This one was red, and somebody repainted it white very poorly.
Mm.
And what was there before was a couple TE72 Corollas with built little Hemis. So I've had a dual round headlight wagon. I had a very rare fastback version. So we had some kind of fun cars. Made some good money on them to be all right, well, family doesn't have money to pay for a wedding, so you're doing it all on your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's been a journey for
You know
sure.
what you do?
Was that?
You know what you do?
Hmm.
Is you don't pay for a wedding. You just don't do that.
But she's she's out of my league, and it makes her happy. So we're gonna do this, right?
I did.
No,
I got rid of a Tacoma.
we don't
Same
need
reason.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
She probably would still love me the same without a wedding, but okay, we got engaged. I made you wait a few years. Fine.
I want this for you. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't give a shit.